Hi, welcome back to another episode of Justlivin Designs podcast. My name is Shannon and I am living in Montana. This is episode number 14. It is Thursday morning at 9:33, March 21st, 2024. Technically we're into spring. Our first day of spring was Tuesday? And today, right now, we are getting snow. We had our temperatures outside were up in the 70s on Monday. The last few days I've been grilling outside because it's been nice. And now we're back into winter weather. Today we are having snow. I think we're expecting like 3 to 4 inches over the weekend. Today I think it's only supposed to be an inch or so, but it's been snowing for a little while. It's accumulating like on the roof lines and in the yards, but not on the streets. It's just melting away. But yeah, so I'm back in woolly goodness because we are back into colder weather again. Yeah, let's get started. This is my podcast where I talk about my knitting, sometimes designs, every once in a while crochet. I don't crochet very often. Talk about things that I'm reading and watching, a little bit of life stuff, yarn acquisitions or other acquisitions that people that generally watch these types of podcasts like books or other things like that. Yeah, so I'd like to start off and say thanks to everybody that has been liking and subscribing. It really means a lot to me. It means that you guys actually are enjoying this little podcast thing that I've been doing. And yeah, we are, I lost my train of thought, sorry. Things where you can find me. I will have all things linked down below that I talk about in this episode, including right at the top, I usually have all of my information. So I have my email and I have my designer page on Ravelry. I also have a Linktree, account link down there that has the other places beyond Ravelry that you can find my designs, because I also offer them on Payhip and Lovecraft for people that cannot use Ravelry. But when I talk about projects and project pages, that's generally where those things are at. I also have my Instagram down there. My handle is Justlivin Designs on Instagram. So you can find a lot of the stuff that I knit. I usually put like regular knitting in stories, and then my designer stuff is more on my feed on that account. I think that's everything. So we'll get into this. What I'm wearing today, I took a shower not that long ago, and I talked about this before, that when I take showers, when it's chillier out, my neck gets cold because it takes my hair a long time to dry, like a good 5 to 7 hours usually, especially in the back, for it to dry. And when it's chillier out, it just makes my neck cold. So I usually put a cowl on for the first couple of hours after a shower if it's chilly out. So this is one of my designs that I released it earlier this year. It is the stripedy cowl. You can kind of see. So this one was knit with Emma's yarn in one of her DK mini packs. It had 10 skeins, and I think this was the Sweetheart colors. And so I basically start at the top and then change colors at every little blip. There is a little fun texture when you change the colors. I also will have it written where you can just do it 2 colors. I had some sampler or test knitters knit 1 color, and it looks really pretty and solid. I think she did like a cream. It was very pretty, just with that little texture in there. So lots of different ways to knit this one. But yeah. This is the 10 skein color, and it's a decent sized cowl. It starts a little narrower and gets a little wider at the bottom, so it sits a little bit better on your body. And then I'm also wearing one of my older sweater knits. This is the Ranunculus by Midori Hirose. I knit this back in 2019. It was back when I don't remember if she had just the one size or if it was like one size and then she had an option to make it like a lot bigger for bigger size people, because it was meant to be like a one size fits all, but then people realized it's not one size fits all. And then since then, I think she's actually added in actual sizes to fit lots of people. So this one's quite oversized on me. I wrote all my mods in my project page because I did do some mods to make it fit me better. And of course I made long sleeves, and the body's, you know, plenty long. It's very drapey because it's a big gauge and made with mohair and fingering weight. The yarns I used are, for the fingering weight, I used a Bear from Knit Picks, their Silk Merino blend. I don't even know if they have that one anymore. So it adds a little more drape. And I dyed it a lighter shade than what the mohair is, so you can kind of see all that fun tonality, but it's still a brown. I love brown. And I dyed it myself just because I had the yarn in stash and I could do that. And then the mohair I used was Farmer Daughters Fibers Mighty Mo in my favorite colorway, Eagle Eye. And yeah, you can kind of see that the Eagle Eye color is that darker, rusty golden brown. And then under the lighter tones is from the yarn I dyed. Yeah, I think that's everything on that. So that's what I'm wearing. We'll talk about a little bit of FOs and whips next. I only have one finished object this week, and that is my socks that I talked about last week, which are the special socks. So these are knit with my design, trusty top-down socks. It is a sock design that has 9 sizes, knit from the top down, garter edge, heel flap, and gusset. You can add in ribbing if you want. These ones are for me, so I just did, I think 20 rounds of knit 2, purl 2 rib, and then knit a fairly long leg, and then, you know, the body. This yarn is a bit plumper. It is from Skein Cocaine, and it's her hot sock, and it's a plump fingering. So I knit on US 1.5. I always go up a needle size. I don't usually talk about that, but I usually go up a needle size on my cuffs. And I write that in all my sock designs as well, just because most people, especially women, we have a larger circumference around our lower calf area, where we knit most of our crew length socks to, than we do around the toe of our feet. Sock pattern designs are generally knit with the circumference around the ball of your foot. And it's just, so if you have a problem with your socks falling down a lot of people are like, oh, I need to make it tighter at the top. Yarn can only stretch so far. So if you do, like, I'll take one of these off the blockers to kind of show. If you do it tighter at the top, it won't have enough stretch to get around your calf. Now these, you know, they haven't been blocked yet, so they're still kind of like in their kind of rougher form. But you can see, even though I went up a needle size, it's 1.5 and then 1 US. So it's 2.5 millimeter and 2.25 millimeter for the body of the sock. Up here, I went up a needle size, but the cuff still comes in because of ribbing. Ribbing makes it more stretchy and sucky in. So if you go up a needle size, you just have more stretch up here than you do down here. It just will. And you can even go past the cuff if you want for a little bit more. You can go up 2 needle sizes if you have really large legs. Rather than like increasing stitch counts, you can just go up a needle size or 2. So that's your little tip for today. And like I said, in all my sock designs, I generally write that in there and say the reason for going up that needle size. That is not something I learned on my own. I got that from Ann Budd years ago when I went to a knitting retreat with her. And that is like, I'm a fairly accomplished knitter. I can knit most things, but that is one thing that I really took to heart, and it makes complete sense. Anyways, like I said, this is from Skein Cocaine Hot Sock on the special colorway. I said last time, I think it might be a second of that colorway. But yeah, so that is my finished object. Only one. And then we'll talk about some whips. So this one you've seen a little while. It is my Talkeetna from Caitlin Hunter. I have been working on this one for a little while. It is a fingering weight colorwork yoke, and it's supposed to have colorwork on the sleeves. I'll talk about that. Sweater. I am using the yarn that she used in the pattern, which is Biche Bouche, Les Petite Lamb's Wool. All the colors will be linked in my project page that I've used for this. But again, I talked about this right away, that this is all stash yarn except for this turquoise color right here. That I bought so I could use all these together to make this. I just love it. It's so pretty. Lovely yoke sweater. So where I was last time, I got yarn sticking everywhere here. Just a second. And my hair is sticking to it. I was right where this progress keeper is. So I was almost done with the body. I had about 2 inches to go before I did ribbing. And actually before I did that, you can kind of see I added in short rows. I talked that I might do that. So I added in short rows before the rib. And then I did the twisted rib at the bottom. And I did Italian sewn bind off. So it does that rollover bit. And yeah, I enjoy how it turned out. I did not, this is another thing I usually do on sweaters. A lot of times I will not go down a needle size for the bottom hem ribbing, especially if it's hitting down on my hips, because my hips are wider than my bust generally. It's just the way of my body. I have wide hips, so I don't like it to suck in at my hips. So and that took a while for me to learn and figure out. And I know some people, a lot of people do that as well, but I generally don't here. I will up at the top rib for the collar, and I will usually down around my sleeves because I have skinny wrists, but my hips aren't skinny. So I don't go down a needle size for my ribbing on a lot of designs, or a lot of patterns. If I do, it's because it's super oversized or something, then I can handle it, or the type of weight of yarn or something. But yeah, so I added in short rows down there, and then I decided that I'm not going to do the color work at the sleeves because I don't want to deter from this beauty up here with having wild sleeves at the bottom. So I'm just going to knit all in the solid main color. And so I'm changing how the decrease rate is, and I'm doing my own thing like I usually do on sweaters. So I'm making tapered sleeves like I prefer. I might not get them all the way down to the final cuff size. So if I don't, then I'll just decrease the remaining stitches before I start knitting the cuff. But yeah. So yeah, I've put some effort into it. I haven't knit on it for a couple of days because I started working on some other designs and other things. So I just have been a little bit more busy. All right, so that's my first whip, and I don't know if I'll get it done before next time. I do have a design in progress that is actually out to testers, and then I also have a couple more that I need to start knitting because it's just been flowing in my brain right now. So I need to actually get some work knitting done, and that takes priority over finishing whips. Okay. My next whip, I guess I'll talk about a new cast on. I'll grab one of these. It's a sock. And this, I decided I needed some more because it got warmer out. So I've been wearing more shorty socks, and I don't have nearly as many shorty socks as I have regular socks. So I decided I should start knitting myself some more shorty socks. So this is some yarn. I actually knit my son a pair of Halloween socks out of this yarn last fall. It is from Hue Loco. It is their Hocus Pocus 2 collection. Black Flame Candle is the colorway. This is her Phyllis sock base, which is like a 75-25. And I knit myself, when I got done with my son's, because I knit him tall socks, but he's skinny, so he doesn't use as much yarn. And since this is one of those skeins that has like 460 some odd yards, and I did contrast heels, toes, and cuffs, I used less than 50 grams on his socks for the main color. So I had like something like 56 grams left. So I was like, I bet I can get a pair of shorties without using any contrast and use up more of that yarn. And so I will, because I used less than half for this sock. And this again is my same sock design, the trusty top down sock pattern. And I did a shorter rib. I only did about, I don't remember how many rounds I did, but I only did about 1 inch. And then I did about 1.5 inches maybe before I started my heel flap. And this I actually knit on size 1s up at the cuff just to make it stretchier for the cuff. And then 0s for the body of the sock, because I've discovered that I don't like my gauge on 1s with the really thin yarn. So I've gone down to knitting them on 0s instead of 1s. And then I get a nice tighter gauge. So this is a size, I think 4 of my sock pattern, which that other, the special size was the next size, or no, 2 sizes, no, 1 size less. It was the size 3. And this is size 4. So this one's 60 stitch, that one was 56 stitch. And again, plumper yarn, I go down stitch count. I used to just go down stitch count and not change needle size at all, but now, like I said, the 60 stitch fits me well with the 1s if it's the thinner yarn, or 0s I mean, which is 2.0 millimeter, but it just fits my feet better. And so yeah, I have one done. I haven't cast on the second one. This is the amount of yarn I have left. And I'll get it cast on probably soon, but again, I got into work knitting, and so I just stopped knitting some of those other things. All right, my last WIP. I have been showing this every time since I have started it because I keep working on it. It's become my nighttime knitting. If you follow my Instagram account, I did put a reel on there last night of me knitting, and some people comment how I knit is weird. Or I've had that comment before on some of my tutorials, but then somebody put, it's interesting the way I knit. And I will say, and I've talked about this before, but I am a self-taught knitter. I learned out of a book, not watching videos or watching other people, not from a class, excuse me. And therefore I knit my own way, which basically means it's kind of like a combination of a continental / English, because I almost throw my yarn, but with my left hand. I don't have my other needle up here. I can't show you guys, but you can watch any of my tutorials and see. I don't hold on to my yarn is the big thing. And the reason I don't do that is because if I tension my yarn with my fingers, it ends up being tighter of a gauge, which makes my hands more sore. And I knit a lot, and it's just also, I've gotten used to knitting this way and it works, and my tension is very regular with this technique. Even when I knit like flat where I'm knitting and then purling, I don't have those like rowing out rows on my purl row. They're very equal, and it just works for me. And like I said, do what works for you. Do you. Don't worry that it's weird. I teach knitting classes. I tell people when I teach that, yes, I might knit differently than you do, and that's perfectly fine. Everybody can knit their own way. It's one thing if you're knitting, like if you're wrapping your yarn weird or other things that you get like twisted stitches or something. But anyways, so to continue, this is my DK weight jelly roll blanket. I am using DK weight scraps for this one, not using fingering held double at all, just DK scraps, because I find that the fabric of DK weight compared to fingering held double is different. Fingering held double is a bit denser of a gauge, a little bit, and tighter fabric, and this one's nice and flowy. So yeah, last time I showed you, I was right here where Princess Leia is. That's a Charmed and Dangerous charm. Any charms you see on projects are generally from Charmed and Dangerous, because that's usually who I buy them from. And this colorway I actually use for a pattern. It's a the Grinch colorway from Legacy Fiber Arts I used for sock design. And like, you know, I know what most of these come from. It's funny. That's just how my brain works. I remember the scraps. But yeah, so I finished after the, it's hard to show this. After the neon green there, I did many other stripes and finished that strip. And now I am more than halfway done with the 4th strip. So I got this inside out right now. So I started down there with that yellowish color, and then there's a cream, and then this actually has sparkle in it. It's some leftovers from my daughter's project. Leftover, this one's a Tweety yarn. So yeah, I'm putting in whatever I got for DK weight superwash leftovers in this one. The one that's the most special for me so far is this, which I think I still have more of it left in there. This is the last pair of socks I ever knit my mom. My mom passed away in 2021, and she actually was wearing these socks when she got sent to the hospital before she passed away. So this one's important. This is special to me. So I love that it's in this blanket. And like I said, I think I have more of it in here because I talked last time that a lot of my DK weight scraps are quite big. And so I will use part of it, and like, here's that speckle one. I will use it again in the blanket later just to use things up. I'm not going to use things just once because I want to try to use up all the scraps. And this blanket is much bigger than my last one. It is probably it's over 6 feet tall. It's probably 6'6" at least on the length for feet. And then width, I don't know how wide I'm going to make it. My last one, I made 10 strips and they measured about the same width as these ones do. So I'll probably make it like 12 to 13 strips at least, I would assume, just to make it wider. We'll see. We'll see when I get to it. That's the fun thing about like blankets in general. Like you can just kind of keep adding and see where it gets. And some people I know on the Jelly Roll in specific, they might be like, I'm done. I'm not going to put the I-cord on yet because maybe I'll add another strip or two if I think it needs to be wider. So it's kind of like crocheted blankets. It's really easy just to pick up and add to crocheted blankets. And since these ones, as long as you knit your strip tall enough, but really you could pick out your cast off and knit them taller if you really wanted to. All right, so that's all my whips that I'm going to show you. Again, I have many more. I don't show all of them, just the ones I'm actively working on. I will, and I also have a pattern out for testing that will probably be, I think that the test is running 3 weeks or so. So it will be a little while before that comes out. So yeah, I'll talk about acquisitions. I did get some yarn in the mail. I'm not showing that yarn right now because again, it's pattern yarn. So I will show it when the pattern gets released. The other yarn I bought, which again, remember, I'm not trying to buy a lot of yarn this year because I want to use more stash, is from Woolberry Fiber Co. They had, was it back at the beginning of February, maybe? Somewhere in there, they had an update where it was like their most popular or best colorways from 2023, something like that. And then it was a pre-order, and I think it was like a 6 to 8 week pre-order, and I just got it yesterday, I think, in the mail. And so one of the colorways that they had last year that I loved, it was this one. And it's just, I mean, you can tell why. It's brown, but it's like a deep mahogany almost brown. It is just gorgeous. And this is the colorway. It's bread. And when I told my husband, like, it doesn't look like bread, I'm like, no, it's brown red. So it's bread. She couldn't think of a good name for it, but it's like, it's a great brown red, and you can, oh, lovely. And usually I don't buy too many sweater quantities anymore in a superwash base, but this color just shined on her superwash bases compared to her non-superwash bases. And it was about the color for me more than it was about the yarn. Usually I buy non-superwash, but this just, it's so much richer and just almost glowy on a superwash base. So I got sport weight, which I don't have really many sweater quantities of sport weight. And so this is her Berry Sport 100% fine superwash merino, 328 yards to 100 grams. And I got 4 skeins, which should be enough to make me a sweater. And I might even be able to get like a gauge for a DK weight sweater with this, because I am a looser knitter. And if I want the sweater to be a drapier sweater, which superwash naturally is, I could probably knit a DK weight sweater out of this. So I will have plenty. And it's just, I'm happy. I like brown. I like brown. Anyway, so I got those, and then since I already had like bit the bullet and bought yarn, I was like, oh, I don't have a lot of DK weight sock yarn, and I want to design another DK weight sock design. So I got the Homebody colorway out of her Berry Cozy DK sock set. It's 80% fine superwash merino and 20% recycled nylon. So this one has 100 gram main color of this lovely like faded denim with the dark speckles of navy, and then like a navy mini. And I'm not a huge like blue. I mean, I love my blue walls, but like I don't wear a lot of blue. But my kids like blue, and so if I make DK weight socks, one of them, probably my daughter, she likes the DK weight socks. So a lot of times she ends up getting my DK weight socks when I design them. But yeah, so that'll make a design in the future. And then I also, since I was already ordering, and I needed more, like all my point protectors are like seasonal ones that are like either, I have like a couple, or stitch stoppers, whatever you want to call them. I have a couple that are Christmassy, and then a pair that could be either way because it's Oogie Boogie. So it could be Halloween to Christmas. But I needed more like summery ones that weren't so holiday themed. So I got just a set of, these are blue poppies. They're like almost sagey green poppies, I guess. But they're very much a color that I like. And so I got that set, and then I got some monstera leaves that are like kind of that citron-y, greeny yellow color. So I have a giant monstera downstairs. Not this color, mine's natural green, but I needed some more not Christmassy ones, because right now I have Christmassy ones on projects. So, or Oogie Boogies on one of my sweaters down there. So yeah, that's my acquisitions. I, again, am trying to be better, but we'll see. My local yarn shop just got some North Bay fibers in, and I like her yarn. I've actually designed with it. I haven't released that design yet because I got to do a video, but need to do a video and finish writing up the pattern. But yeah, I really like her yarn. They got the Heritage DK in, and so I kind of just want to go and look. And there's a sweater that I want to, or a vest I want to make that would work really well in that yarn. All right, next I'm going to talk about first upcoming events, which I have brought up a little bit. I have, I already talked that I got a new design coming out probably in a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And then I have a class that I'm teaching at the Yarn Bar, and it is going to be like a tutorial type series class, or not series, it's like a long class, workshop type thing. It'll be April 6th. We have it set up from 12 to 4 p.m., which seems like a long time, but people can leave when they get done. You don't have to stay all the way to the end. It's just that we're turning sock tubes into socks. So I'm teaching people how to split and divide a tube, and how to knit an afterthought heel, afterthought toe, and then how to knit your cuff. And you can also pick out the waist yarn to knit the cuff or the toe, not the heel because that's at the end. This one I've already split, so I do have needles on this one, but it's because the sample sock that I've knit one sock out of this tube, and this is Round Mountain Fibers, I believe. Color Jumping Spider, maybe, might be Jumping Spider. My yarn shop sells a lot of these. The Yarn Bar sells a lot of Round Mountain Fibers yarns, sock yarns. And this is a plump, dense yarn. But yeah, I have one of them done and it's at the shop right now. So I will show the rest of it with everybody in class. I've written up my tutorial and have all my things ready for that. So yeah, you can sign up on their website, again, locals or people within the area. It's a Saturday afternoon. Should be fun. And then I will talk about some reading and watching and a little bit of life stuff, and then we'll be done. Reading and watching, I've been reading more lately. I think I talked about that last time. Apparently when I started getting better at reading, it just kind of like clicked and I read a lot more. It also depends on what books I'm reading, how fast I read them. But I have finished 2 since last episode. I finished reading The Teacher by Freida McFadden. I think I had started this last time. When I finished this, I thought it was pretty good. I will definitely read more of her books. There is some stuff that might be uncomfortable for people to read about in it. You know, that's all I can say. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some uncomfortable subjects in there. But I thought it was a very good book. And it had some, I didn't guess everything. It wasn't super predictable of where it was going all the time. I also finished listening on Audible to The Wizard's Butler by Nathan Lowell. That one I thought was pretty good. It was a light read. There is magic in it, but not like overtly magic-y. It's more of a people, and it's an interesting one. The butler is non-magical, and then the person he is working for is. I enjoyed it. And then I started reading. I did buy a copy of The Golden Sun. I couldn't get the next one, which is Morning Star. I need to go downtown to our local independent bookstore and check out what they have down there, because we were also looking for the second copy of Dune, or second series in Dune Messiah, because my son just finished reading Dune. I still need to read it, but he wants the next one in the series, and of course the series after that. And they had like the smaller versions, but not these bigger ones, which we all prefer the bigger paperback, because the words are just, a little bit easy. Spacing's better. It's not so small of a, it's just easier to read, and it feels good in the hand. But yeah, so we need to find that, and we need to find the third book on this. But yeah, and then my son picked up a couple of books. He reads books so fast. It's ridiculous. He's 11 and he reads. He's been reading at a high level. Like when he was in 4th grade, I think he was reading at 9th grade level or something like that. It's ridiculous. So he reads books that it's hard to, because of his age, like the type of books that he likes is sci-fi. So he's read 3 of Andy Weir's, which he has, like The Martian, if you know that movie. And then there was Artemis, and he just finished Project Hail Mary, and he said it was the best book ever. He loved that one. So of course I have to, and he wants me to read all those books too. So those are more books that I need to read. But yeah, so I started this one. I'm just into it. It's kind of like the last one, the Red Rising. This is book 2 of the Red Rising series, where it's just taking me a while to get into it. I know once the story gets moving, I'll probably start reading it a lot faster, but right now I don't pick it up nearly as much to read. And then I started listening to, on the Libby app from my library, I started getting back into checking out Audible books from the library. And I started listening to a man called Uwe, I believe is how you pronounce his name, from Fredrik Backman. It is a Scandinavian book that's been transcribed into English. I'm not sure if he's Swedish or Norwegian. I can't remember if they say what city they're living in. So again, listening to it when I'm doing other stuff. But I want to watch on one of our streaming services, a man called Otis, I think is what they changed the name to make it more Americanized, is on one of our streaming services. And I want to watch that. So figured maybe I should read the book first. Because a lot of times if I watch a show and then read the book, I'm disappointed that the book is so much better. But if I read the book first and then watch it, I usually know going in it's not going to be as good as the book, because that's just the way it is. So I'm listening to that on Libby. Problem that I have with, I don't listen to audiobooks as quickly as I read books. And you only have like 14 days on a copy. So I need to listen to it more often. So when I'm knitting now, I listen to an audible book instead of like watching YouTube videos or other things. Instead of just doing it when I'm cleaning. Watching, we did make it to the theater, I think the Sunday after I recorded last, to watch Dune 2. Everybody loved it. My son was very happy because for the most part, it follows the book, because that movie, Dune 1 and 2, go through the book Dune. And if they come out with another movie, it will be the next book, Messiah. So he was very, very happy that it followed the movie. And then, or followed the book pretty well. And then we watched, as a family, the kids have been wanting to watch this for a while, the Super Mario Brothers movie. My husband was like, he didn't want to watch it, but then he didn't want to miss out on watching it. So he watched it with us and it was all right. Some things made me really happy because we've been playing Mario type games for years. And so some of the things made me really happy, and other things I'm like, that was dumb, but the kids enjoyed it. We also watched Romeo and Juliet, the Leonardo DiCaprio and Clara Danes version from the 90s, because my daughter has been reading that for English this semester. And so we watched that. And then I have been still watching some Criminal Minds when I don't have anything else to do, or if my back gets sore and I need to put my feet up, because my back's been bugging me lately. And then March Madness starts today. Is the main game, so I'm gonna be starting to watch that. Yeah, and so that's all for reading and watching. A little bit of life stuff is kids are getting busy. My daughter is helping out with the play. I've talked about that. So she's not home most days until 5 o'clock. I know here in April, they'll have like longer practices because it's leading up to the actual play. My son starts soccer practice this next week, and then his first game is not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Then he'll start track after that as well. So we'll have double practices going on. So that should be fun. And then the kids actually have spring break this next week, and we decided not to go anywhere. One of our dogs, Ash, she's just getting older, and I feel less comfortable leaving her at like the boarding facility or other things. But my husband took time off, so we're gonna just kind of do some fun things around town. And also, like, my daughter has play stuff and my son has soccer, so it's harder to leave. So that's kind of the life stuff. Just busy with kids and busy with everything like that. I think that's about it. I hope you guys had a good 2 weeks. I hope you have a good next 2 weeks. If you can tell, I'm not sick anymore. Even though it's just the change in seasons, I'm having more headaches and stuff. And talking about my back stuff, I'll tell you about this a little bit. I started doing yoga again. So like today, I did a decent, I do an app on my phone because I'm an antisocial person. Don't want to go to classes. But my shoulders are killing me today and my wrists are a little bit sore from all the like downward dog and planking and all those positions that you're doing a lot of shoulder movements. And I'm not used to it, but it's good for my back. So I'm starting to do that more. We walk the dogs almost every day as long as the weather's good. So I get out for walks a lot, but yeah, I need to do some more stretching and other movements for my back. So starting to do yoga again. I'm going to take the day off today just because I'm so sore. I'm going to keep moving my arms to try to loosen up the soreness, but it's sore today from stuff. And that's just because I haven't been doing it. So I'm going to try to get better at it. All right. Other than that, I hope you guys, again, are doing well. And I will see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching. Bye. Hi, welcome back.